Joining us to discuss this precedent is Professor Olatunde Johnson, a law professor at Columbia University. Professor Johnson, thanks so much for being here. Roe v. Wade, of course, was a landmark decision. The Supreme Court of the United States ruled the Constitution of the country protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion. What specific legalese did the court opine on today that reversed that decision?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I mean, today was really a monumental day. I mean, it was seismic, even though many of us knew it was coming because of the Dobbs leak, of course. So what the court did was overturn the Roe Casey fundamental ruling that there's a right to abortion that's protected by privacy and liberty interests. And what was stunning about the court, in order to do that, it had to declare that the decision was wrong from the start, that it was egregiously wrong, is what the court said. And another aspect that was really interesting, really came out in the final opinion, because the court had to respond to the various concurrences and dissents, were that there's no reliance interest. That women, one of the reasons you don't overturn past decisions is that people have relied on it. And the court really gave short shrift to the idea that Roe and Casey have been relied on. So you really saw a coming together of this notion of there's no right in the Constitution to an abortion explicitly protected, and also the coming together of that with the stare decisis approach that says it was so wrong we could overturn it.
Right. Stare decisis meaning basically if it's you stand by what has been settled. Or what's been decided already, to make sure that the Supreme Court has consistent rulings for the country. It was more about having that consistency than it was about always getting it right, because otherwise you could have constant reinterpretations. I mean, that brings up the point,
yes, exactly.
Professor, Justice Kavanaugh famously now said in his confirmation hearing that he thought Roe versus Wade was settled law. Does this ruling seem to indicate that, at least on this court, there isn't such a thing as settled law?
Yeah, it certainly makes us question what's coming ahead in terms of other precedents that the court could overrule. Just sticking to some of these privacy and liberty interests, I mean, the court, in this opinion, the Dobbs majority says, this is just about abortion. We are not going to overrule our prior decisions about contraception or about same-sex marriage, or that say that you can't criminalize gay sex. That's what the court says, but you can't really be certain, because some of the logic of the ruling today that really adopts a very narrow view of what is protected by the Constitution, and even some of the concurring opinions, you see Justice Thomas has a concurring opinion that says, in effect, everything should be looked at again. Now, that didn't carry the day, but we don't really know what's ahead. And we have decisions next term on affirmative action, cases that are going to be heard before the court. And I think there's a real question as to whether the court will adhere to this principle that you nicely made me explain of stare decisis, which means really following its past precedent.
There's, of course, already reaction. As we know, this is not really a popular opinion with the public. 2/3 of Americans did not want Roe versus Wade overturned. Now the discussion is there anything that the rest of the government could do to stop it, even if they wanted to? What legal options would the federal government have to try to undo this ruling?
Yeah, so what you're going to see is a lot of work at the legislative level. There will be some attempts to do, protect abortion rights administratively, but I think those are going to be kind of limited. That means the executive branch, the presidency could say, for example, abortion rights are safeguarded on federal property. But much of the battle is going to take place at the federal level, legislatively through Congress, or at the state level. So at the federal level, you could have Congress decide that it's going to codify an abortion right. We already have an act, a bill that does that, and it hasn't been enacted. And a lot of that is because of the filibuster and also because of contestation over abortion rights. Of course, Congress could also go the other way because of the decision. It could ban abortion in all 50 states. I'm not suggesting there are votes to do that, but that is a legal possibility. But then you're going to see a lot of state level action. I think that's where the battle is going to be. I mean, already 13 states effectively have these trigger laws, which means that abortion bans will soon come into place automatically or nearly automatically. And about 25 states, we expect, about half the states will probably ban abortion because of this. And so there are lots of legal questions that are going to still remain on the table about whether or not you can ban the right of a resident, of a citizen of a state to travel to another state, whether states can reach across their borders and really criminalize other activities in other states. There's more to say on this. There are groups, even though that position wasn't adopted today by the Supreme Court, but who would want the fetus to be protected by the 14th Amendment. Okay, so that if that were the ruling, if that's where the court ultimately went in a future decision, that would ban abortion, potentially criminalize abortion in all 50 states. So I don't expect the legal battles to stop. I mean, this has an immediate impact on women, especially poor women and women of color. But because there's going to be such a patchwork of approaches, it's going to raise a range of legal issues.
This definitely felt much more like a door opening than a door closing. Olatunde Johnson, law professor at Columbia University, we appreciate your time and your perspective as well.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.